Thank you, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I have to ask a quick question of everybody here. Any Trekkies? Any Trekkies in the room? I wrote the headline for the speech, and I was kind of proud of it. So I thought, if there are any Trekkies, I would get their attention. But apparently, you guys are all too cool for that. So,
Yeah, just want to start by thanking MediaPost. It's my second summit with you guys. The first one was awesome. That's why I decided to come back. Thank you, Tanya, Lisa. It's great to see a lot of the folks that I've met in Arizona here again. So it just goes to show that these types of summits provide a lot of value to brands as well as sponsors. So looking forward to sharing some ideas on what we have been doing as a small niche brand. We are impacted with a lot of the same challenges as the larger brands, but being a niche brand, it's even more difficult for us, right? Eaglemoss is not a name that's commonly known, and even finding collectors or collectible fans is itself a difficult challenge. A lot of people say they're fans, but when it comes to actually collecting, it's a completely different habit. Content that fans consume generally are free, but collecting, that's where you have to put the money in. Yeah.
well, they may not know Eaglemoss, but I'm sure they know all the brands that you guys deal with. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the intro video so that they can see some of them.
Sure. Before we get to the intro video, just a little bit about myself. I've been with Eaglemoss for the last 6 years. I started on the US e-commerce and subscription business and was able to successfully grow that and now now managing all of our global e-commerce and marketplaces. So Eaglemoss was a brand that has always been selling to distributors and retail partners. So wholesale was there really the large majority of their business. 6 years ago, it was 80% of the business. Today, D2C is 80% of the business. So it's a huge evolution for this company. And they realized that fans who used to congregate in stores like GameStop or Forbidden Planet, as those retail establishments, their footprints have decreased, more and more fans are having those same conversations or engaging with their franchise online. So we had to evolve quickly to make that happen. So I oversee all of paid search, paid social, performance media, really all of marketing when it comes to e-commerce and marketplace. So I'm just going to give you a quick view of what we do, and hopefully that will answer more questions about our product.
I'm fascinated with the horror collection. Just looking at that slide is going to give me a nightmare. But, I don't think I could have one of those figurines in my bedroom.
Yeah. So we cover the full range of collectibles, from replicas to models to action figures, statues. But we also do a lot of books, and we also do a lot of fan merchandise.
How many products altogether?
We have over 3,000 active SKUs that we manage, which is, for our business, is a large catalog. Because most other franchises have a much smaller catalog. They tend to specialize in one particular franchise or one type of product. So our goal has always been that how do we become the go-to destination for collectibles, specifically for the markets that are older. For example, 40 to 60 is really where we excel. That is the largest part of our database, because you need time, money, and space to have a hobby of like this type. The average customer stays with us for over 4 years. It's a multi-generational hobby where a lot of people pass on this to their kids, to their grandkids. And what we found is that our VIP customers are spending over $2,000 averagely over their lifetime. So it's a very fascinating business, one that I had no idea about when I got in 6 years ago. It was by chance, but wanted to share with you our evolution. Yeah.
What's your most popular item that you guys have ever sold?
Our most popular item today is Star Trek. because of the fan base. We are very focused on what active fans are looking for. So a lot of people will think like, oh, why not Star Wars? Because Star Wars, to be honest with you, is more it's more competitive. There's a lot of other brands that participate, and what we found is that it is a younger generation versus Star Trek, which started in the 60s and have a huge, huge fan base. And the most important thing is they are extremely active. So that's primarily what we sell. It's almost 50% of our business.
So you're going to take us through this agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about trends, solutions, and then looking ahead.
Yeah, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the trends because we all know what we are facing. Marketers had a pretty easy ride because we could hyper-track every single person down to every habit, every click, every purchase, every non-purchase, every add to cart, every browse. But we can't do that anymore, right? So now is really, in some ways, it's a challenge, but I also think it's the best time to be performance marketers because it's the new age where we all have to adapt to a new reality of not being able to track. So there's other things, for example, customers don't want, for a long time, customers have been saying us they don't like this hyper tracking, right? So we have to listen to the customer. So there's huge privacy concerns, there's regulations, and then of course there's platform changes, right? So this just kind of gives you an idea of what are the impact that's having, in terms of just our own ROAS and our own metrics. We've had huge challenges in terms of cost increasing, but we've been able to counter that with some smart, innovative, and I would say very resourceful ways of working around these challenges. So solutions, I think what I wanted to share with you today is, first of all, you need to diversify. You need to not just look at search from Google and Bing, but try to expand your horizon. Test as much as you can in different search formats. If you're in paid social, experiment with as many different paid social platforms. Because you will find efficiencies, but if you're not even testing, you're going to be missing out, especially on the learning, right? So I wanted to just share with you that for a long time, we were just focused on paid search and paid social, Google and Facebook. That was it. That was 90% of all of our performance media. Today, we have, we've largely TikTok, Snapchat, they account for a pretty large part of our media investment. These platforms are not essentially easy to work with because each one of these platforms that you invest in requires an enormous amount of time, technology, resources. So you definitely want to make sure that you dip your toe, but do it in a way that allows you to get the learnings, stay in there, be patient, and try to focus on what is driving customers to engage with your brands first in these platforms, and then how do you drive them to conversion. Just wanted to show you a quick video of how we've been able to do this. So on one side you see the Snapchat video, and on the other side you see the TikTok video. They're very different. One of the other things I wanted to emphasize is the investment in creative. For a long time, marketers had it pretty easy. One static banner, throw it up there, get a lot of clicks, do hyper-targeting. But that's not the case. You have to really engage the customer or the visitor in the medium that they're in. Your ads have to look very native to the platform. So just show you the one from Snapchat first. A video, invest in a video. If you're not, there's lots of technologies that are out there that can easily take static images and make them into videos. So the Snapchat video is exactly that. It is nothing special. However, that same video would not work in a TikTok environment. So here is the TikTok video, and as you can see, it's built in a very different way. It's more organic, it's more authentic, it is more it shows the person engaging with the brand. So it's shot from a different perspective. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind as you invest in different platforms. Think of the experience and think of the creative, the storytelling aspect of our jobs. Yeah.
And these are young users who are really critical. I mean, they really, they're going to click away if it looks too contrived to them.
Exactly, that's another thing. So these platforms tend to be younger, so we've been making a big effort, even though we know that our product generally attracts older generation of customers, but we've been making an effort to see how we can engage the younger population, right? So, you know, in Facebook, we could still get away with static banner ads, but on these platforms, we really have to do a lot of work engaging the customer. Yep. Also wanted to share with you that we have not given up on Facebook, actually. We have doubled down. We're doing a lot of different things there. One of the big things that I can tell you is that Facebook today offers many, many different ad types and ad formats. You should definitely try to participate in as many of those ad formats, whether it's static, video, motion graphics, collections ad, canvas ad, because these are inventory. If you're not participating, you're missing out. And often these inventories tend to be cheaper than your standard Facebook static ad. So as you can see, the video, but you can also see some of the collection ads and carousel ads, which directly tie the person to the product, right? I think there's somebody who's going to talk about product feed and how it has, how you can utilize it to increase your ROAS, increase your performance. We have invested very heavily in product feeds to ensure that all of our advertising is as personalized, as customized, and to the person who is looking at it. So we're spending a lot of time making sure that our customers see the products that they have visited in our site, they have purchased, and finding similar products to serve to them. So this is, there's many great feed management technologies that are out there. Talk to your agency partners to figure out what's the best one for you. As you can see the chart, it's led to an enormous increase in our performance over the last 3 years. The other thing with feed management and feed technologies, it allows you to completely customize the story that the person is engaged in. We are able to create what is called sequential messaging. So you show the first ad that has a lot of Marvel characters. It's a prospecting ad. You don't know essentially if they're interested. But if they click on it and visit the website, then you can now serve them very specific ads focused on the product and their journey on the website. So this makes the journey much more sequential. You're not trying to serve them the same ad over and over again. You're focusing on the customer's journey and engagement with your brand. So another huge improvement. This has led to an enormous improvement in our click-through rate, which is, we cannot control cost, we cannot control CPMs. The two things that we can control as marketers is click-through rate and conversion rate.
And you guys are optimized for mobile. I know that showed a laptop, but I was shopping on your site on my phone, and it worked just perfectly.
Yes. So what are some of the other things that we're doing? We are spending a lot of time on a couple of key initiatives. As I said, we're looking at all of our existing and trying to figure out how do we personalize our brand. But the main thing is that just hyper-focused on KPIs that are specific to a channel no longer works. You have to broaden that, and you have to look at things like overall revenue. You have to think about overall brand lift, because that's what we're going to be faced in the near future. We will no longer be able to go to our finance team and say, hey, the return on ad spend for Google search was this. We will have to talk to them more about the overall lift in revenue and invest in things like media mix modeling. This is important. The other key thing here is that TV is critical nowadays, especially connected TV. As you can see, the stat, digital channels, digital marketplaces are oversaturated, but connected TV, there's a lot of space. It's dominated by a smaller number of brands, so there's a lot of scope and opportunity for your brands to expand in connected TV. And this is what we are really focused on in terms of shifting our ad dollars these days. A couple of quick things is that we're also spending a lot of time on our own site experience, things that we had gotten away from because we were so happy getting cheap clicks and that could easily convert and the ability to hypertrack, right? We had to adjust quickly and say, no, the site experience is what we can control, and this is what is allowing us to get higher conversion rates, even with a higher CPM. We've been kind of countering that or balancing that with improvements in conversion rate and click-through rate. A couple of other things that we have been focused on quite a lot is the customer journey, as I mentioned, but also things like how do we keep the person engaged with our brand long term? So things like NFTs have become super popular in our space, not so much as a product, but as a continuation of the customer's engagement with us. They buy a product. If they buy X amount of product, they get some digital asset that they get to keep, which increases in value. So it's a continuous long-term engagement with our brand. So those are the kinds of things that is allowing us to evolve what we do in our marketing, focus on long-term growth.
So it's a loyalty sort of
It is for us
incentive.
more of a loyalty play than purely a product selling proposition.
But you might be selling them eventually, since everybody's
We
selling
are.
them
I'm not
eventually.
allowed to show you those yet, but we are experimenting with new types of formats in our products. NFTs are going to be offered very soon. It's a space that's quite difficult to get into, but we hope to share that soon. Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just wanted to recap by saying that we're all facing the very similar types of challenges, whether we're on the agency side, big brand, small brand, CPG. It's up to us as marketers to bring new innovations, technology, new partners into the table, and have those conversations to evolve from where we are today. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Imran. Thank you, Tanya. So actually, you and Matt seem to be right on the same wavelength in terms of bottom line money, getting the revenue in. But does anyone have any questions for Imran?
I've got a quick question while people think about their questions. Did COVID affect how people are collecting since they're stuck at home? And
Yes. So COVID had a very interesting impact on our business. We are primarily a hobby and home-based business. So as more people were stuck at home, they needed something to spend their time with. And our business in 2020 and 2021 actually had a huge boom. Obviously, we wish we could have done it without COVID. But we tend to do well when people stay at home.
there are craft kits you can buy. You can needlepoint like Star Trek
Yes,
stuff.
so actually during COVID, we expanded our product range to not just focus on the male audience, but also on female collectors and female hobbyists by expanding into Harry Potter, knitting scarves, Harry Potter, knitting bags and crochets and things that everybody could get into if you're interested in crafting products.
I hear Lisa. So is someone raising their hand? Did someone say Lisa? Am I hearing my name? Okay, they're back. Oh no. Okay. Jen.
Hi, Jennifer Tan, First Republic Bank. Great presentation. I took a lot of pictures of your slides. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you a little bit about TikTok. So you mentioned that your target audience skews a little older, but you're going into TikTok to get in the next-gen audience. As it relates to TikTok and the different formats, because there's so much investment you have to make in the creative, have you thought at all about finding influencers on TikTok who are mentioning you guys and then seeing if you can work with them directly? And how does that work? How do you pay them?
Yeah, so in all of these channels, there's the paid component, and then there's the organic or influencer-driven content. One of the reasons we got into TikTok is we found there's a lot of influencers or brand advocates that were already mentioning our product. So one of the things about collecting is part of the reason you collect is also to show off, right? It's a bragging right? You want to be the first, you want to show that you have the cool toys and you have all of them. So it's natural that people are sharing this content. We had to focus, we had to invest in the community building part of it, as well as the paid side of it. You can't just go into these communities and just blast a lot of ad because you'll be called out on it and you'll have very poor engagement. The ad that you just saw was actually shot by an influencer, and we obviously we do a lot of contests where we say, hey, if your ad is picked, you're going to be compensated and you're going to be showcased. We try to create a system of content production that didn't solely rely on our creative team, where we could bring in community-driven content into our advertising. Obviously, we have to have the right kind of disclaimers and things like that, but influencer videos, and if you can create a way for them to, for you to aggregate them and for your influence to support your paid media, that's the right way to go. Because you're going to see a lot of improvement in your click-through rate, in your ad metrics, if these come from the community versus just from your side.
All right, well, Imran, Tanya, thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you, guys.